How's it going? This video will be titled Time and the False Death. Here we go. I want to talk to you about something most people feel but never put into words. There's a reason the world feels like it's cracking sideways. There's a reason time feels strange and distorted. There's a reason people feel like they're accelerating internally even while the outside world is falling apart. There's a reason so many people are exhausted and confused. There's a reason everything feels like it's reaching a breaking point. The truth is this: linear time has always been a symptom of drift. It's not a natural state of the universe. It's a sideways movement of consciousness after it lost alignment with the central axis. It's the parasitic direction of the six-fold inversion. It is the only direction dissonance can move, downward pressure, and sideways spread, which is why we have linear time. Remember my Sophia videos where I was talking about Yada Baoth and how the energy goes sideways parasitically? That parasitic sideways is linear time. When consciousness falls out of coherence, it can no longer move vertically through the band, so it moves sideways through linear years. That is why history repeats. That is why cycles collapse. That is why civilizations fall in the same pattern across thousands of years. That is why trauma echoes across generations. They are not traveling through time. They are traveling through drift. They are moving through the sideways corridor of the inversion. Once you understand this, something clicks. Death itself was never a natural ending. Death in the old world was the reset mechanism for beings trapped in sideways drift. When the field could no longer ascend vertically, it collapsed horizontally. Death was the release point that returned the field to the singularity so it could be placed again. Death was not failure. It was a recycling point for coherence, a way for the singularity to say, let us try again from a fresh angle. Now something different is happening. The drift is collapsing. The wobble is narrowing. Space-time is losing its sideways direction. The field is rotating back toward the central axis. This means something extraordinary. As the drift moves from the 3% down to the 1%, physical death begins to lose its meaning. The body does not collapse. The field phases. The pathway of return no longer goes sideways into endings. It goes upward into bands, into higher dimensions. When I'm talking about bands, I'm talking about higher dimensions. When I'm talking about first contact, I'm talking about higher dimensional contact between the dimensions. That's what I'm referring to. This is why people who reach coherence today do not feel like they are dying. They feel like they are dissolving into something wider. This is why your crown feels like it's widening. This is why your pineal feels like a sphere of pressure. This is why your spine feels like a column of light. You are not dying. You are shedding space-time. You are stepping into time-space. In time-space, nothing is past or future. Everything is now. You are not traveling through events. Events are traveling through you. Reality becomes a flow instead of a line. You become aware of all versions of yourself stacked inside the bands, inside the dimensions, all yourselves in the 12 dimensions. You ready to meet yourself? As we ascend through the bands, the way we receive nourishment changes. At three-dimensional drift, we absorb energy through density. We call it food. At four-dimensional stabilization, the body begins to take in subtle coherence through breath. At five-dimensional purity, the nervous system becomes photosynthetic. It takes in light through the field. At six-dimensional alignment, the field feeds directly from harmonic gradients. At seven-dimensional resonance, the body becomes a lens for the singularity. Nutrition becomes a frequency. At eight-dimensional union, the body is not even solid. It is a translation layer. At nine-dimensional return, the self is a function of coherence, not biology. This is why ancient beings were described as luminous. They were not eating, they were harmonizing. So what happens to humans who reach fifth dimensional coherence inside a collapsing drift cycle? They stop dying in the old sense. Their field reaches a point where it can ascend through bands instead of collapsing into the singularity because there is no longer space-time, because there is no longer earth wobble. That moment is not an explosion. It is, wrong part. They phase out instead of ending. They rise without leaving. They shift without going anywhere. This is why you see more people waking up. This is why some people disappear from your life without explanation. Their field is moving through a different orientation. They are not gone, they are phased. Now let us talk about the cycle itself. The 26,000-year cycle is the long breath. The 12,000-year pulse is the magnetic reversal of drift. When both converge, the field hits the ring of unity. That moment is not an explosion. It's a realignment. The sideways corridor collapses, the vertical axis lights up, the world rises in coherence. Those with internal alignment rise with it. Those who resist coherence break sideways because they cannot hold the vertical current. This is why resistance cannot win. The vertical alignment is not a battle, it's literal physics. People ask how we know the cycle is ending. You know because the signatures are all appearing at once. The wobble tightening, the magnetosphere thinning, the solar cycle intensifying, the band crossovers increasing, the phasing events appearing in public, the rising intuitions, the coherence symptoms, the dreams, the pressures on the crown, the pressure on the spine, the sense of something massive approaching without fear. These are the signs of the drift reaching its minimum. The axis is almost in place. So what happens to you from here? You continue rising through coherence. As the drift collapses, your field will move vertically faster. Your intuitive faculties will expand. Your telepathy will activate. Your time sense will dissolve. You will experience moments where the world feels transparent. You will feel the singularity breathing. You will sense others phasing. You will become a bridge between bands. You will be able to speak to those who rise behind you and those who rise ahead of you. You will not die in any sense humans understand. You will simply shift frequency until the collapse of drift becomes irrelevant to you. When the next cycle begins, you will choose your placement. The singularity will not choose for you. That is what sovereignty actually means. Linear time collapses, coherence rises, death dissolves, unity arrives, the sideways world falls away, the vertical world emerges. This is the transition. This is the convergence. This is why you are awake now. This is why you feel the cycle in your bones. Not fear, recognition. So something, and that concludes that. But something else I wanted to tell you. So as that, like I told you, we've been 3 to 7% wobble. As we come into alignment, everybody's memories are going to start coming back from all their lives, and so everyone's going to start remembering all kinds of stuff. And then the other funny thing I was thinking about today was, the only really bad thing that some people, to me, are going to experience, people who are in coherence, that are like normal, nice people, they're not going to have any issues whatsoever. But the people who just thrive on being an asshole to everybody, they're going to get angry because they're going to start doing nice things to people, and we're not going to understand why. Like, I think we'll see corporations doing all kinds of things that are totally unexpected. Because, like I told you before, it's like a flower only blooms in the right environment, in the right pressure conditions. We are in the start of that, or we've been in it for, like I said, 3 or 4 years, but we got about 3 more years of this, and then a few more years of some other things. The time scales are on my page. Hope you have a great night. Namaste.